Welcome to Robot Unicorn, hosted by my parents, Jess and Scott. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
You just introduce yourself.
My name is Brooklyn Marx, psychotherapist, friend of Jess and Scott's. I work with families and individuals and kids with, perinatal parenting, also disability support. And it's something I've always loved to do. I actually found my parents were moving last year and they dug out. Did you guys have every year you got your little book for school and you wrote what you wanted to be and who your friends were and all the little things? And I think it was grade 1 or 2 that I said child psychologist.
Yeah, cool.
Not a psychologist, but close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
It's a very similar field.
Yeah. So from a very young age.
Really?
Yeah.
And it makes
Ebbed and
sense.
flowed.
I feel like when I met you, you wanted to do a different type of counseling.
Genetic counseling.
That
was my goal at the time.
Yeah.
Which is what? Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so it's basically supporting parents with kind of understanding their genetics before they have kids or after they have kids, understanding diseases, and any kind of dispositions that their kids might have. So my parents, when I got diagnosed with my disability, went to a genetic counselor, had the testing done, kind of got diagnosed, and then they kind of worked with my parents through what my disability was, what it might look like. And at that time I was already diagnosed. I was 2 years old, so it was already established, but they did testing on my brother and some other family. But a lot of people see genetic counselors prior to having kids if they know that they're a carrier for something, or they want to know kind of options of what to look for and what things could end up being, different options, alternatives, stuff like that. So that was my intentional goal when I went to university. And it's a very competitive program.
Okay.
And my grades were not quite, I think there's 80 people per year in Canada that get accepted. Oh, really? So it's a very high competitive program. And after a couple of years, I was just not feeling realistic, not attainable. And I kind of shifted more to the psychology, more social support rather than medical support. It was kind of where my interest ended up gearing towards through university.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that's roughly what you're doing now?
That's where I ended up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it ended up being good. And I kind of started looking at programs. I was a few years behind Jess. Mm-hmm. So I kind of saw where she went with school. I kind of geared accordingly.
Yeah.
Similar trajectory. And it ended up being, where I wanted to be, I think. It's where I needed to be.
I feel like it was one of the things we bonded over early on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just some history on Brooklyn and I. I worked with you and for you for a time.
Yep.
As a personal support worker. Yeah. But in doing that, we ended up just spending all of our time together.
Yeah, every morning.
Every morning. And then I think for a while I was doing
almost all of my care.
Almost all your care, your personal care. And so we just ended up spending hours together every single day. And
studying.
Yeah, and I would come to your house and we would just study between personal care appointments, and we would talk about school and life and everything.
Yeah.
And so I feel like our passions just kind of aligned, and that's really what drew us to each other, and we just always had so much to talk about. And I don't know, I always kind of miss those days, a simpler time.
I know, it was really simple. Everything seemed just easy.
It's just work. Oh, I'll go to Brooklyn.
It's funny.
Spend a few hours there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because yesterday we were recording an episode and you were talking about Barry.
Yeah, I was talking
And it was
about Barry in yesterday's episode.
Unlocking all these memories that I haven't thought about in a while, in so long. It's funny how, we're talking about basically the same time frame right now.
Mm-hmm. I was talking about, so Barry is also someone who I talked about in that episode before this, if you haven't listened. And I was explaining how he was a good boss, a good leader, but that's also someone who Brooklyn knows.
Yeah.
So you can.
He guided me through all of university, and I think my experience in university was only as good as it was because of him. Like, I can
really?
say that with, like, absolute certainty. I toured tons of universities, different student sports, and nothing even came close to what he was able to, like, offer, and the support and guidance that he gave was just next level.
Yeah, the program that he ran
Yeah.
and the support he offered was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about him yesterday, and I was just thinking about how incredible he was. And then I was like referring to leadership and parenting, and I was like, we need to be like Barry, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. It's totally true. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's great.
But yeah, to go back to our history. So I worked with you, for you. We became really good friends. Then we just stayed really good friends forever, still are. And then when I was starting Our Mama Village
Nope.
with Scott.
Before that.
Jessica Grace blog.
Yeah. It was prior to even Our Mama
wasn't
Village.
even Our Mama Village. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were starting Jessica Grace blog, I remember you came over to our apartment. We did a whiteboard of all the things that we wanted to talk about. We made a
It
plan
was for Blogmas.
for Vlogmas.
Oh,
yeah.
That was. It was
Yeah.
like once, was it every day or something leading up to Christmas?
Yeah, we
were-
did one blog every day leading up to
like a month.
Christmas for a month.
I think your goal is to get like 2,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah. And our goal the first year was
Grow
like,
the community.
it would be amazing if we could grow a community of followers on Facebook, I think it was, to 2,000 people. And it ended up taking us a long time to get to 2,000 people in the community. But yeah, Brooklyn's been working like with us since Jessica Grace blog days. And not even a lot of people know about Jessica Grace blog days.
Yeah.
Jessica Grace blog turned into Our Mama Village, was turned into Nurtured First. And you've been there every single step
Yep.
of the way.
the whole
It's been
time.
very cool to see it grow.
Yeah.
It's been very, very cool.
Well, and you've been part of it, right? You've been a huge part of helping it grow. So, yeah.
And now you're on the podcast.
And now you're on the
now I'm
podcast.
because apparently you guys have podcasts now.
Yeah.
What? Like, that's wild.
But for anyone, yeah. So Brooke's been with us since day one on Our Mama Village and Jessica Grace blog and Nurtured First. So I feel like everyone should give you like a round of applause for dealing with Scott for that many years.
How is this all of a sudden turned on me? Sure, that's unfair.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That's why you get the round of applause. But
I'll take it.
Just because of having to deal
Just
with
for
me.
you.
Yeah.
yeah. All years.
That takes a certain type of personality for sure.
But all that to say, we love you.
I love you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for being on.
Yeah. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so much in between that.
Yeah.
You've been there for us for all three kids being born, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into like all of the advice, because today's topic, we want to talk to you about speaking to our kids about disability. Yes. And I feel like this conversation applies to a lot more than just about disability, but maybe you can explain. So you have what's called SMA or spinal muscular atrophy.
Yep.
Could you
Nailed it. Wow. Good job.
Thank you.
Even doctors don't get it. So,
Really?
yeah.
Well,
Cheers to you.
could you explain what that means? So first of all, like what that actually is.
Yeah. So I would say the closest for people to know, most people know what ALS is. And I would say it's the child version of that. So that's like the closest. You know, it's different in terms of genetics, but starts when you're young, typically, depends on what type you are. I'm type 2. So I started when I was 2, was when I got diagnosed, and it kind of just slowly, muscles deteriorate
Okay.
over time. So kind of similar to ALS, but a little bit more gradual. Again, depending on what type you are. It's a big spectrum. So mine symptoms started when I was like 18 months. And then my parents took a while to get diagnosed because it's technically rare. In my brain, it's not rare because it's very common. Because I know so many
Yeah, you
people
know lots of people that have
that
it.
it's hard to conceptualize it being rare, but technically it's rare.
Okay.
So it was harder to get diagnosed.
How long would you say it took your parents to figure it out when you were young?
I mean, my mom knew something was wrong around 10 months. So it took, over a year to get an actual diagnosis. We're from a small town. So that didn't help because they kind of just dismissed her. And my mom had some really good nursing friends that were pushing to really make it clear that, you need to be pushing for further investigation and further looking into what might be going on. So I think she saw a few doctors in the area and then finally pushed to get referred to London, which is the bigger city, and it was diagnosed like immediately there.
Okay.
Because they were familiar with it, but our small town
Yeah, right.
was not. She had a lot of pushback from doctors saying it was like difference between a boy and a girl, because I have an older brother. Just like first and your second, like just different kids. But
That was not it. And
my
your
mom
mom knew.
My mom knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew immediately. So
I feel like even that in itself is such a powerful thing to just say to parents. Like, if you feel something's wrong, push for it. I'm going to say that to parents. It's like, no one is going to be as good of an advocate for your children as you will be. And no one's going to care as much about your children as you will. And so sometimes that means you say, no, I still feel like something's wrong, even if the doctor's like, oh, no, it's fine.
yeah.
So good for your mom for doing that, because that probably was hard to do.
Yeah, it was hard for her to push, but she had a really good village behind her, like pushing for like, you need to get it checked out. Like if there's something wrong and you feel like there's something wrong, and there's clearly like there's physical symptoms, and she pushed for it and ended up getting what she needed to know at the time. It's changed a lot since then.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I bet.
30 years is very different.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of your earliest memories related to SMA, specifically around how adults, parents, teachers, strangers talked to you or about your disability?
Couldn't count on the amount of times where strangers interject, come up, poor girl, so sweet, used to give me money when I was little, or cookies, and all kinds of stuff. Like the amount of things that strangers do, weird. Lots of praying for you, lots of like touching your head, like inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I remember that from a very, very young age, like 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So it was either that, or it was like very like belittling, like, oh, she doesn't need to be included, or oh, like she can just sit on the side, or oh, like that's fine, but we're doing this.
Right.
Like exclusion. So
Yeah.
those are the two big ones. The strangers were like most memorable. Mostly because I just didn't get it.
Yeah, right.
Right. Because I'd be like, okay, my brothers are beside me. They didn't give him a toonie to go buy a tree.
The money kills me. Like, really?
Yeah, go buy yourself a tree. Like, giving me a toonie. And
Interesting.
like my brother would be like, what the heck? Like,
I want a
how did
toonie.
she get this? Like, he would just look at my mom like,
It's
how come
unfair.
she gets this? And, you would gently say, no, thank you. But they push. And
That is
Yeah.
interesting. And for those who are listening, a toonie is in Canada a $2
$2.
coin.
$2.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
the term we use for it.
yeah, so I'd say that was like my earliest. Yeah. And I mean, that goes all the way. I still get strangers doing stuff, but especially when you're a little kid who's really cute in a little
You were so
chair.
cute.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
they're,
Yeah, you were a very cute girl when
I was
you
a
were
very
little.
cute
Like, you
little
were,
child, right?
We'll need to find a picture to share on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know, you were the cutest kid.
blonde hair, blue eyes,
Yeah.
like little doll.
Yeah.
So
Sitting in a
everyone's
chair.
just, yeah. But I feel like as a kid, then it right away tells you like there's something different about
notice.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and people notice it.
Yeah.
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 So
It's-
how do you feel about that when you're a child? Like, do you have a certain feeling about that when you were a kid?
It was strange because I was always just in my own world. Like, I didn't really think of what other people were seeing or like interpreting at that age. And I don't know if that came with time. I was just always confused by those reactions. And I was a very typical kid, like just play and
Yeah.
go about my own business and want the toy in the store and cry if I don't get the toy in the store. And like, it was just a very typical experience. And I was just confused when that happened. And I would kind of just aloof it off. When I was really young, I would just kind of push it away and just be like, okay, that's weird. And then just continue on. But I think as I got older, when I was closer to like preteen, like kid preteen, it started being a bit more internalized. I was like, okay, like people notice this. Can't really hide it.
Yeah.
This is weird. And then you kind of like interpret their messages as like, oh, you know, if you want to pray for me, then maybe there's something wrong with me to be prayed for. Like, it's a
Yeah.
weird
This idea
dynamic.
of a lot of people coming to you as being like, oh, I'll pray for your healing.
Yeah.
That type of thing. You're like, I don't need that, actually. Like, I don't need you to pray for my healing.
Yeah, and there isn't.
And there isn't. Yeah.
Right? At that age, I'm like, there is no treatment. There's no way to stop it. Like, thank you for the intention, but, like, it didn't really do much other than tell me that it needed to be fixed,
Yeah.
which is the message that I don't think kids need
Right.
when they're navigating that.
No.
Because there was nothing broken in my brain. Like, I didn't feel broken until you're told that you're broken.
Yeah.
And then it shifts.
Yeah.
And when you keep,
And if it happens, you hear that often
Repeatedly.
enough. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it changes as you go through. Like, different teachers, different principals behaving in certain ways. We had a really tough time in our school system where I was the only kid with a physical disability strictly in my school all the way from kindergarten to grade 12. So I was the only one that was like in mainstream classes just with a physical disability, and that was a lot of pushback from teachers and principals making assumptions that I needed to be in different classes, special education, in the hallway. We had a lot of weird experiences, and my mom was an incredible advocate, and she fought for everything all the way through, but we had a very messy education experience, and I saw it all
Right.
because think people assume that children aren't listening and not paying attention, and they're just like in the room,
Yeah, right.
but you hear everything. You see everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
You soak it up, you internalize it, and then you get confused when you're like, okay, if you're saying one thing and then you're doing this, it's confusing. And I think I got that more and more as I got older. Less oblivious.
totally, like, it's so sad to think, and you know, because we've been talking about this too with like the book and stuff like that, but like you actually were fine with everything,
Yeah.
right? You're like, I'm not broken. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Yes, I have a disability, but it wasn't like in your head an issue
No.
until other people started making that an issue.
Yeah.
And
Until
started-
I learned that that was a narrative.
yeah. And then that becomes the story that you tell yourself. I am broken, I guess. Like, I didn't think I was, but I guess I am. Do you remember a time when that started being like kind of shifted more from like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm a normal kid, to like, feel like I'm broken?
I want to say grade 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's the age.
And you know exactly
Yeah.
why, right? That age for girls in general is hard. And I think that's when peers started changing the way they treated me.
yeah.
I started being able to understand what adults were saying more and making connections that all of a sudden, like, making these connections that are different than what I interpreted before. 'Cause I
Right.
finally had that developmental ability to actually understand that information and make these different connections to what was going on,
Yeah.
which we see it a lot for that age, is you start understanding things a lot more differently.
Yeah, and you're saying that as therapists, that's the age that you're seeing.
That's
that in
why
your
we're like
clients.
nodding. Yeah. Because we see a lot of girls in our practice. Brooklyn also works with me at my therapy practice, but we see a lot of girls at our practice that are that age, grade 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's like, it wasn't just you, it was the girls in the class also were going through their own probably identity crisis, but then everybody's always taking it so personal because we're not recognizing every kid in the class is struggling.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. And then the message becomes, I'm broken and I'm the issue.
Yeah. Because when I was young, it was usually adults that gave me that message. I never felt that way from kids.
Yeah.
Like when I was, grade 5 under was like, I had tons of friends. They were very inclusive. I was invited to all the birthday parties. It was very like easy and it didn't feel weird. Kids are so forgiving, right? They're just like, oh, you're in church. Okay.
Yeah,
And just
it doesn't
continue
really
on.
phase them, right?
Like
You
nothing
even see it
changes.
with our girls. They're just
Yeah.
like, they come up to you and they're like, want to ride on your wheelchair
Okay.
with you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're just in this, and they don't really ask questions. They don't.
I don't think they've
have
ever
any-
questioned you being in
No.
a chair.
Nope.
Yeah. They jump on you.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, like Brooklyn sits in a chair.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, it's so easy. And then like 5, 6, once kids start getting the ability to start questioning and understanding things. And that's when it shifted, I would say.
Yeah.
Is when it started to become peer driven as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's an extra dynamic that you're adding.
Yeah. Before it was just adult strangers who were weird.
So then you have both. You have adult strangers and adults not strangers.
Yeah.
Treating you kind of like pity, like
Differently.
looking down on you or treating you different.
Or exceptional.
Or exceptional.
We swing one way or the other.
What do you mean by that?
A lot of inspirational. You're so amazing. You're so wonderful. You're
Like
so
you're such an inspiration to me. Like
for breathing.
Yeah, right.
For getting out of bed in the morning. God, I could never do what you do. Like, you're so strong. And
So
it's like,
it's
I
a little bit
understand the intention.
Condescending, kind of.
Well, it's kind of like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
I
I'm
got
just
out
living
of
my life
bed.
here.
Like,
So, Brooke, I don't know if you remember this, but I've learned so much from you, obviously, about disability. But I remember when I started working with you and we just got along really well off the bat. And I think there was someone else working for the same company that I was working at, like a few people. Do you know where I'm going? And one of them really kind of babied you, like treated you like a baby. And I remember you starting to like rant to me the more comfortable we got with each other about this worker that you had that would be like, honey, and stuff like that. And then I remember one day she called you like an inspiration to her. And then I saw you after and you were like, I'm not an inspiration. What do I do? I just sit around and watch TV all day. Like, how is this inspiring? And I just always will remember that sticking out to me, right? Because I think so many people probably come to you and be like, you're an inspiration. And you're like, that actually is more offensive to me than you not saying anything.
yeah. I think it's the intent is good.
Yeah.
The intent is pure. They want to recognize that I face challenges and I have to deal with them, but I have to deal with them. I'm not like choosing, like I didn't win a Nobel Prize.
Yeah,
like I'm
right.
not like
You're just living
doing
life.
anything. I'm just existing.
Yep.
And I think when it's framed as inspirational solely because I'm living with a disability, that's when it's not okay. Because it's like if there's, you know, when it's strangers especially that are like saying that, and I'm like, I could be a horrible human.
Yeah, you don't know
Like
me.
you don't know me
Yeah.
at all. And you're making this assumption solely because of the chair.
And then they give you
it's
$5
like, and then they give me
after they
$5. Which what can that actually buy you?
Yeah.
Like,
It's not going to fix your wheelchair.
It's not going to fix your wheelchair. It's not going
like
to.
that's not enough. Like
Maybe it's $500.
Oh, so
then.
it's different if it's like if it's $1,000 check
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
I mean,
Brooklyn
I would
will-
still be annoyed, but I'd take it.
Brooklyn will accept more than $5.
I would
Right.
take
Got
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gonna say
I'm not
no.
an idiot. Like
But
I mean, to be fair, I would take it too.
Yeah.
no, as
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd be annoyed, but I'd take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Still be annoyed. But I'll always remember that because I feel like that day, and it's just that I was young too, and like I just hadn't really thought of that.
Yeah.
But that day, I feel like it just opened my eyes to be like, oh my goodness, all the things you must have to go through, and like you and like disabled people just everywhere, you know, and working in the work that I've done, how many times have I seen people, even companies that work with people who are disabilities, who have like inspiration in the slogan, who
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but I just feel like the language that is,
The language is a bad one. Yeah.
it's
It's tough.
tough. Yeah.
I think just first of all, I just want to note that like I appreciate you letting me rant at you for days and days and days because I didn't have a lot of outlets at that time, and I was still learning everything, and I was still figuring that out, and I always felt safe to just like spew things at you, and I never felt like that was like going to be turned. There's always a fear of like it being interpreted in a wrong way of me saying that, and then people are like, oh, you're not grateful for a compliment, or oh. You know, whatever. And it's like, no, like I needed that safe space to like rant
Yeah.
and let that out, and appreciate that you've always been that person that's
Yeah.
like able to handle those rants. So that's
Always.
really important to
I mean,
know.
Jess is probably the safest person you could talk to. I
She
think.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys make me cry.
You were always very safe for that.
Maybe not
which
for
I
me.
needed at that time.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel better if I say maybe not for me?
I know.
You're
I'm
mean
safe.
to
I
me,
know I'm
but-
safe to you. I'm mean to you, but I'm safe to you. But no, Brooke, I think about those days and I just think about like really how young you were to like go to university, be on your own for the
Yeah.
first time. And then I feel like when we started to get to know each other and spend so much time together, you were like processing all the things too. for the first time, right?
I think early 20s were like the most processing
Yeah.
for me.
So I feel like we were together for a lot of these years where you were processing a lot of the trauma and a lot of the comments that you experienced before moving away to university.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why also you needed that safe space, and we had so many of those conversations because like it was all coming up for you for the first time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe not the first time, but like in a deeper
It's the first
way.
time I was away from small town. First time I understood. That's an age where you understand adulthood a little bit more. And you understand that people are, you know, just because they're adults doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. And I think that was like really the age for me where I started doing a lot of like my own therapy and like figuring out life.
Like I literally
a little bit
remember you
more.
going to your first therapy
Yeah.
appointment. Like I
You were
think
one
I
of the
saw
ones
you
that
that
were
day.
like, you need to go. Like, we're going to go and do this. Like you were one of the ones that encouraged me to end up going. 'Cause I didn't want to go.
Yep. I remember encouraging you, be like, I think you should try and go to therapy. And like this was early on in our friendship.
Second year for me.
Yeah. And I remember you coming back from therapy with a rock. Do you remember that?
I still have that rock.
You still have the rock?
I do. I still have that rock.
That's special.
I have a little like plate with all my little rocks from, I had a therapist named Sue. She was great. She, every time I went there, she had like a big bowl of like rocks with different textures and whatever to like rub and ground yourself with. And I'd always come back with a rock.
Yeah.
And add it to my little pile.
Yeah.
And I just still have that little bowl of rocks.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't let them go.
I just remember
They're
you
mine.
coming back from the therapy session, like, look, Jess, I got a rock. And we were like, okay, that's a start.
So cool.
Yeah. But yeah, those kind of things, I don't know, it's just ingrained in your head. But it's been really cool to like watch you over the years, like go through that time when you felt really broken. And obviously it's not like this journey's ever over, right?
No,
when you're
it's
on a healing
constant,
journey, it's always. But now seeing you like literally supporting kids who are going through some of the things that you used to go through, like it's pretty cool to see.
Feels full circle.
Yeah, really full circle. Yeah.
So, one of the big things that I think parents face or that is hard for them is using the correct terminology or language. So, from your experience, both personally and as a psychotherapist, so professionally, why do you think so many well-intentioned parents freeze up or shy away from when it comes to talking about disability with their kids or with even other kids like you when you were little? I'm sure there's myriad reasons, but I think, is it purely, so maybe not purely, is it largely because there's the fear of saying the wrong thing? Or do you think there's deeper discomforts that are at play when it comes to parents dealing with disabilities?
I think it's both. I think there's a really big fear, and because people are often well-intentioned, and I think they're scared of saying something that is hurtful or offensive or inappropriate, and so they think the better choice is to say nothing.
Right.
It feels safer for them, and I think it also comes from a place of not knowing, like not understanding, because often I think when we don't know something, that's when we feel most worried about saying something wrong, because we don't have the confidence to say that we know the subject or we have an understanding of it or we have done some of that work. And I think a lot of times parents or people in general, just if they don't have a base understanding or feel comfortable or if they've never been in the community, whatever that might be, they are worried about saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And will resort to not saying it. So I think for me, and that's a really hard thing for me to constantly kind of remind myself, the concept that someone's never encountered disability, I can't imagine that. Like,
Right.
It's so foreign to me that is something that a lot of people have never actually encountered. And that to me is just like mind-blowing. And so I think I always have to remind myself that, like, there are some people that have had zero experience with disability for, again, many, many, many reasons why that's the case. But it becomes this thing that is scary for them, too.
Well, actually, so Jess and I were talking just before in preparation for this with you. And I was like, I don't even know if I know the right terminology and Jess refused to tell me the right terminology
Oh, this should be fun.
for.
Okay.
Well, and I think, so what does saying it right actually mean in this context? If we have no like if I, even being friends with you, I actually don't know if it's supposed to be person first language, disability first language. I was talking to someone who said that they went through like HR training or corporate training, and they were told to say that people with disabilities were differently abled. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not the right thing to say
correct
either.
Scott on that one right
Yeah.
away.
Well,
Yeah.
I even said that. I was like, I don't think that's the right. But again, you're getting this information. You're like, oh, okay, that sure. I
Someone's
guess that makes
training me
sense.
on this.
And I feel like at one point it might have been person first language, and then maybe it changed to disability first. So it's like it's almost like you're trying to keep up
People
to
are
date.
terrified of messing it up.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you're terrified because you're like, I don't want to say something that's going to offend anyone because I actually have no idea what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
So I guess, is it precise terminology in the end really matter that much? Or is it more the intention and the attitude that people have towards the conversation and like just being open about
Yeah.
having a conversation about disability?
So language is tricky because what we say, even if it's intended well, makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I think when we're using, like for me, when you just went through that, there's like two categories in my brain. So there's like either disability first or person first language, which to me are pretty interchangeable. I personally prefer disability first language. It's an identity thing for me. That's like a personal preference. I don't get upset if someone says person with disability. To me, that's like not a huge deal. I think where we get into the kind of the tricky territory is when we're using euphemisms to distance
Sorry, what do you mean?
ourselves. So like euphemism of like differently abled, handy-capable is a big one, which my partner and I make a lot of jokes about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another one.
That's
like
another one.
handicapped.
Handy-capable,
Are you allowed to say handicap? Like, I don't even know if you can say that or not.
Yeah, that one.
I
I think it's when you're distancing yourself from the word disability. And I think that is like the differently able part of your point, or even special needs, even handicapped, whatever word it is, that's avoiding the word disability. Even if it's meant in a good way, it's inherently distancing yourself from disability. And often that gets interpreted as, if it's so bad you can't say,
yeah.
then you're positioning it as something bad or something to be avoided,
Right.
which is not welcoming. It's not something I would feel warm and fuzzy about. I would kind of go, oh, like, just say I'm disabled.
Right.
I'm disabled. Like, it's the reality. It's the truth. It's the real situation. We don't need to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
We don't need to hide it. We don't need to avoid it. It's just disabled. And so when we're using all these other little, like, cute terms, which when you said, like, corporate is teaching this, can guarantee you that corporate person's not disabled.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
100%.
Or in
It's
the
just
community
someone
whatsoever.
in
what
their
I-
HR.
That was the first
right.
thing I said when I heard
So you
that.
need to be listening to people. And I always just say ask. Like, if you're really
Right.
unsure,
Ask.
first of all,
That won't be offensive
ask.
to
No.
like to even add.
No, I think it's actually considerate personally, where I'm like, oh, like, you actually know
Right.
that this can be an icky situation for people. And you're going, oh, I'm just going to ask.
Yeah, because like you're
Like, that to me is
mentioning
considerate.
all the different terms.
There's a million.
Yeah, and like the thing is, in my mind, it's like handicapped, disabled, whatever. Like all these different. It's like they all. I get what they mean. So then, in my mind, it's more like I don't even know which. I guess disabled is the right term,
There's nothing wrong with
But-
the word disabled.
and I don't think if let's say I were to say, not that I necessarily would, but if I were to say those terms, I would say it with the exact same attitude and intention because. It's literally just the fact that I have no idea that saying that is, I don't know, somehow distancing yourself from disabled, which in my mind, like the way I learned it, just sort of interchangeable, the same meaning.
And can I?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, please.
May I?
I mean, see, the thing is, you're both professionals. So then you understand
I-
maybe a lot more about this, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying from someone who has no professional training in anything related to psychology or any of it, like to me, they kind of all have the same meaning. So then I can imagine other parents will feel the same, where it's like, I actually mean the exact same thing. It's just, I said the wrong term.
And so I feel like there's like two things. So there's one thing if you like and correct me if I'm wrong, but if your intention is good, right? And you're like, I want to say the right thing. And like, you're asking questions, right? And now you know, right? So now you know Brooklyn prefers disability first language, which like, as an example, when you write your bio as a therapist, you would call yourself like a disabled therapist.
That's what I say. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what disability first language is. We're putting the disability first, right?
Yep.
So now that you know that, you wouldn't go ahead and say differently abled,
No, right, of course.
right? And so I think that's the main difference. It's like some people just, they don't know what they don't know. They've been trained a different way. That's not really their fault.
Yep.
But if they learn it, then I think the onus would be on them to use the correct language.
Right.
And then I would also say that if you're someone who's teaching this, you need to be talking to people who are actually disabled before you're teaching it, and make sure that the information that you're sharing is accurate.
Oh, you're like saying in terms of like HR.
Yeah.
That,
Because I think a big issue is we have a whole bunch of people teaching accessibility trainings in companies, like exactly what you were saying, who've never actually spoken to a disabled person or like got their
Or
insights.
have a very limited
yes.
group of people that they've talked to. Typically, not to make assumptions, white men who are paraplegic. That is like the
Okay.
kind of the go-to.
if you Google disabled person, that's like the
Yeah.
framework that people go off of.
So can I
Yeah.
just, not necessarily that it's right, but in defense of like the company, in this case, it's a big company, so there's less excuse. But let's say for our company, we had you go over our policy.
Yep.
But if you didn't work for us and we didn't know you, I feel like we'd just be like, okay, the lawyer sent this. This is what we have to use. And that's the language that we would use. And I think you had some things that you said maybe alter this and change that, and it made more sense.
Yeah.
But because we know you and you're willing to help us improve on it. But I feel like a lot of companies, like anyone in this building that we work in, they probably just work directly with the lawyer.
Yeah.
And we're like, here's the employee handbook for you. And then we're like, okay,
I think
sounds good.
It's the shifting the narrative of, if you're going to be running a company and you're going to wanting to make that an accessible format for everybody, you need to put in the effort to connect with an accessibility consulting agency or DEI, whatever that looks like. You have to put in that effort as a company.
Right.
And if you don't, you could still survive technically, but I think you're going to be facing a lot of challenges of inaccessibility or not being as good as you could be if you put in that effort.
Yeah. That's what I was just saying is like I would hold different people maybe to different standards. So like for a therapist, I hold them to a high standard
Yeah.
because you're a therapist. So in my opinion, you should be held to a very high standard.
Yeah, of course.
And you should know the most that you can, right? And like a company, if you're training a whole bunch of people, I would hold you to a higher standard too.
Yeah, this is a company of like 500 or 600 employees,
Yeah,
right?
you should do your research and have stuff
And I
ready.
mean-
And it's available. I think that's the big thing, is that we're living in a time where everything is available online. It's very accessible to go online, find an accessibility consultant, and deal with that.
I think I even took a training though, and I'm pretty sure the training that I took, I don't know if you would have agreed with some of the things that they had.
It was the
So that's-
AODA.
No.
So that's the thing. It's like this is a professional organization that focuses on that, and they are maybe not even doing it. So that brings me back to parents. Could be very well intentioned, and it sounds, I think, a little bit scary to even have the conversation at all, because like whether it's disability or race or gender or like all these different things, you have to.
Sexuality, yeah.
Yes. You're like, you have to know all these different things, and then it's kind of impossible to keep up with that on top of just taking care of your kids and bringing them to their extracurriculars and making sure they do well in school and are fed well and you're doing well at work, right? That's where I feel like it's important to have for us to have a conversation about, like, how do you, as a parent, have like a meaningful conversation with your children about things like disability, and not shy away from it, even if it's not something you understand at all.
I would start with parent first. So I would say, as a person, I hope that most people, in my ideal world, magical ideal world.
Yeah.
First of all, our system would be set up so that you encounter disability more, and that these are conversations that you have, right? If you have a parent or your teacher is disabled, or someone at a grocery store is disabled, or daycare workers, like any just more people in the community doing more things. And there's a million reasons why that's not set up the way it is. Unemployment, subsidy, all kinds of things. And I'm not even going to get into that, because that's like...
Well, we've dealt with that with you even working
hours.
for us. It's
Yeah, it would be a day's conversation.
Yeah.
It was almost challenging to even be able to pay you, because if we did, then all of a sudden
benefits go and
we're losing this,
screws you
losing
up,
that,
and then it's like they don't really make it that easy for you.
Yeah, and I'm someone in a very privileged point of view.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm white, I have a family that's very supportive, I have all these things that are working in my favor, and it's still incredibly challenging. So I'm not even going to touch that, because that's just like...
That would be a whole other conversation for us to have.
Yeah, but I think we have to recognize that it's there first.
Absolutely.
But I think in my ideal world, people would also put in the effort to do that work in general. So, like, read stories about and from disabled people, follow accounts, disabled people, have their kids have books and stories and all these things that are from a disability affirming perspective in their space. But I think in order to have those conversations with your kids, you need to brush up on your own knowledge of that. So I think a lot, even for example, the one conversation that you guys had around periods, you're uncomfortable handling the girls when they come to that age and all these things. And the main reason for that is that you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. And so the best way to feel more competent in talking to them about that is by focusing on your own education and brushing up on what you need to know to be able to support them.
Right.
And I think the same applies for disability. We all have inherent biases. We all have inherent stereotypes and stigmas. And the best way to kind of be able to approach a conversation with our kids without that interfering is to work on that in addition.
Yeah.
And then come to the kids to be able to offer them a similar understanding so that they don't need that when they're like 30.
Yes.
Right? Because they had it all growing up, which I wish everyone had. But the reality is that that's not what the world is set up for right now.
I know. It's interesting because, like, even talking about training for here and taking the AODA training, it's like it doesn't even seem like that's like a professional organization that is even supposed to teach it properly.
They've
It
improved their bare minimum, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very low bar.
Yeah,
the
and that's
bare
specifically for like
minimum that you can
workplaces.
legally get through.
Right. Okay.
Half of their stuff doesn't apply to me because it's not comprehensive. So what they identify as something that is accessible is only for a very particular group of people.
Yeah.
Which, it's accessible for a particular group of people, but not everybody.
Right.
And so I think it's more about complete inclusion, all access designs and stuff that's what we need to, it changes from person to person. What works for me might not work for somebody else. And that's okay, but we need to be able to shift it and accommodate it accordingly. And that's not how it's set up. It's set up as a checklist of if I do all of these things, I can say I'm accessible. That's not how accessibility works.
Yeah. Right.
Which is a systematic issue, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a system-wide
It's such a challenging
issue.
thing because, again, like as a parent trying to teach your kids about that, I'm sure there's so many different disabilities I'm not even aware
It's a huge
exist.
spectrum, and it crosses every other
So that's
identity, right?
where I want us to
You
come
have
back
black
to.
disabled people, you have queer disabled people, you have poor disabled people,
Yeah.
and then you have everyone else in between, right? Like and then every disability itself is a spectrum. So even just looking at SMA for me, huge range,
Yep.
like unbelievable large range. So like it's hard to like, yeah, it's complicated.
Can I just to add a piece in to just kind of blend all of this with everything else that we teach at Nurtured First?
Yeah.
I think it's just helpful for parents. Just remember this, like every person wants to be known and seen and heard and understood.
Yeah.
And I think if you have that always in your head and you're approaching any conversation, anything you have from that angle, right? Like that is why you prefer the term disabled therapist, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, see my disability, acknowledge it, know it, understand that it's there, and then you see me.
Yeah.
Right? I remember us having those conversations. It's like, if you don't see my disability, you just call me differently abled, and we like skip over the fact that I'm disabled. You don't see me, you don't know me, you don't hear me, you don't get me.
Yeah.
So I think that's like at the really root of any of the language things. It's like, what if your intention is to deeply know and see and understand someone? I think then you can ask someone the question, how do you prefer I talk to you? Or how do you prefer do you prefer me say disabled this, or do you prefer me say person with disability? But then then the person on the receiving end feels known and seen. And I think that's all really we're looking for, right?
Which
Yeah,
I think we have a post from that was years ago.
Yeah.
But I think it was with our Mama Village because I remember calling you on a walk. I was going down the street and there was a company car.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
And it had this slogan, see the person, not the disability.
Yeah.
And I called Jess fuming because I was so mad. So it's like, you don't see the person if you don't see the disability. My disability has impacted every single part of my life. And if you pretend it's not there, you don't even know who I am.
Right.
Like it's so,
That
but
seems
it's meant
like the same
as a positive thing.
That's like the same as saying I don't see color.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's
I don't
exact
see
same
color.
It's like
concept.
you obviously do. So why?
And this
why
is an
even say
agency that supports disabled adults, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have that on the side of their
What?
van. And Brooklyn and I are just like,
That's
I just get really ramped up
yeah.
about it because I've heard that so many times. This phrase is a compliment. And it's not the compliment people think it is.
And I just think like if we can pass that it's a simple message to pass along to parents, right? But like help your kids see disability.
Yeah.
Help them be
It
curious
exists.
about it. Let
So,
them know it exists.
Yeah.
Expose them to it in magazines. What am I?
magazines.
Who are you?
All right, guys. That dates me. Books and videos and specifically seek out books written by disabled authors. You're on Instagram. Follow disabled people on Instagram, right?
Yeah. And if you have questions, look it up together
Yeah.
too. I don't see anything wrong if they're like, oh, what is this cane? Why do they use this particular cane? Mm-hmm. Be like, you know what? It's a great question.
Let's look it up.
Let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. We look it up online, find a couple people talking about it. You can learn with your kids.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. And I think if you have the posture of like, we just want to understand, we want to be curious, and we want to help the people in our life who are disabled feel seen and known. I think that's all we're really asking. And I think if we have, and again, you can tell me I'm wrong here, but if we have that posture of curiosity, I think that's what you missed in your childhood, right? Like
Absolutely.
people weren't asking you. They're having conversations above you and on the other side of a door where you could hear,
Yeah.
right? Like no one was seeing you. And I feel like that's why that language is so triggering.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not to speak for you.
No, you're 100% right. 100% right. Couldn't have said it better.
Okay.
Okay. So for the parents listening right now, what you would say the absolute first simplest step a parent listening can take to open the door to conversation with their kids about this, even if they feel completely unqualified to have the discussion?
Get qualified is what I want to say. I know it's not tangible
That's
for
okay.
everybody. So, but small steps even for there. Follow an account, read a book,
Yeah.
podcast, whatever you want to do. But I think having kids be exposed, would be my next.
Yeah, don't like keep them away from.
No, have books with multiple kids in it. Some able-bodied, some disabled, different sexualities, different races, like just diverse characters, stories, TV shows, same thing. Like have these conversations from that, like use that as a spark to have those conversations. I think if kids are exposed to it, they understand it. It's not this elephant in the room that they have never seen a wheelchair before, you know? Show them different kinds of wheelchairs, like show them different, give opportunities for them to see these things.
Yeah.
I think that would be my first tangible tool to starting those conversations while simultaneously doing your own work. Yeah. And I know that's something that isn't easy to do, but I think that's the real answer.
Right.
Which is that you kind of have to do your own work to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah.
If you want them to be effective. It kind of comes from that.
Right.
And when you say your own work, like, can you give an example of what that would look like?
Yeah, I would turn inward about what you know about disability, stories that you've heard, what your understanding is, where your biases might be. And then I would focus on hearing from disabled people of all kinds, like listening, following stories, whatever it is, just to get that exposure so you can actually explore those things and then listen to them. If they say this is wrong, be like, okay, like for that particular person, this is wrong. What might that else, what might that mean for other people? And how could I make sure that they feel supported? And the more you hear from people, I think the more you understand it.
Yeah.
And that just comes from exposure. But
Right.
Our society is very limited exposure. And it's getting better, but like for a lot of people, they've never encountered anyone with a disability. And so you have to seek it out, unfortunately.
Well, it's almost like I think about being on social media, you're just like inundated with so much information too about everything. So it's an additional challenge to
Absolutely.
again see content from disabled people. And at the same time, learn about everything else. And like we have an election in Canada and making sure you're educated on that.
But there's some really great politicians that are disabled.
Right.
Follow them. Hear what they have to say.
See, I didn't even know that.
They're there. We're there. We're there. And we're not necessarily on the front page.
Right.
But we're there. And I think you just have to put in that little bit of extra searching to find them and hear from them.
So we were talking about it not being the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like kids are often more blunt though, and like we'll just state.
Yeah. Which is my favorite thing in the world. Right? Like I love that.
Our girls will immediately say, "Brooklyn, you're in a chair." And like they will just state what is obvious to everyone, right? Yeah. They're not blind to it. So how can parents handle these moments with their kids? Because I feel like some parents, again, will feel kind of awkward about it. Like it doesn't bother, I wouldn't say it bothers us because that's just how kids are. They notice literally everything.
Are you talking about like public?
Yeah, just being out in public and like seeing
maybe
someone with like not the crutches, I guess crutches
Cane,
with cerebral palsy, like, because we've seen that before. Like it's common to see that out
or like
in public, right? And how do you have a constructive conversation with your child when they maybe call something out?
Like if I'm in public, let's say with my kid, and then they see you in a chair, the kid, and then they go, "Mommy, why is that person in a chair?" And they're like pointing. Obviously, you hear. Yeah. I'm sure this happens to you all the time. Well, how do you hope a parent is going to respond in that scenario?
Do you want them to be like, "Let's ask," or do you want them to say, "We'll talk about it later"? Or
so. I hate the shushing. I don't like when parents shush children.
Totally.
I don't think that's productive. They're curious.
Yeah,
Don't shut down their curiosity, right? Kids are supposed to be curious.
Yeah.
That's what they need. Personally, I love kids. So it's my favorite thing in the world when kids come up to me in public and ask me questions because they're absurd questions.
Yeah.
First of all, like they're hilarious.
Can you give an example?
How do you get in bed?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
do you sleep in that chair?
That's a great question.
That's a fair
And
question.
I'm like, You know what? I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah.
Like, I usually get a, why are you in here? What's going on? Like, what's wrong with you? Which is a really endearing one because they're so sweet.
Yeah.
Right? They're just like, what's wrong with you? Why are you in there? But sometimes they're just really funny questions. And I think for me, I personally, because I like kids and talking about disability is something I'm really passionate about, I'm okay with them asking questions. I will sit there and answer all of their questions in the world, even if it's at an inconvenient time. I think when a parent is in that situation, they're often embarrassed by what's going on, and they want to shut it down as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's uncomfortable. So they will either shush and like take their kids away. No, we don't do that. We don't point. We don't ask questions.
Right.
It's like shutting down that curiosity. I don't think that's super helpful for the kid. And it also for me too, I'm just like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk to them. Like, is it so taboo that I'm taboo to talk to you? Like, is this kind of an internal issue there?
And I always think it's like sometimes parents respond as if like you don't realize that you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like, don't remind her.
Don't remind me I'm disabled.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
And so I would say avoid shutting it down. Avoid that shutting down that curiosity, because you need to be curious.
Yeah.
I would also say, and this is going to be a ramble, so join me. I encourage questions. I need to preface that not everybody who's disabled wants to answer questions, nor is it their job
Yeah.
Yeah.
to answer questions. So you're kind of teetering a line of like, maybe you could do you want to ask if they can answer questions? Oh, like just maybe you answer the question for them. If they're like, what is that? You can say, that's a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And just kind of answer their own question for them. Mm-hmm. But I think the issue that most people have is they're like, well, we want the person to answer the question, because they come from this intent of like, well, you're the person with the lived experience. You should be able to tell me and tell the child what's going on, not me. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, if someone's running late,
Yeah,
or
right. You're still
busy,
living your life.
you know, they're just out doing their life. It's not their job
Yeah. No,
to
totally.
answer. So I think coming from a place of asking, like, see if they're willing to answer your questions.
Yeah.
But also, I'm the leader, and I'm going to be able to answer those questions for you to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I like what you said too about sometimes for kids it's just a factual answer.
Just a quick answer.
Like instead of
What is
shushing,
that?
just be like, if they say, what is that? Yeah, it's a wheelchair. And
Most
that's
kids
it.
are okay with that.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. That's all it goes.
like
Is that.
your child is going to do so much better if you just factually just say, yeah, she's in a wheelchair. That's how she gets around. That's her legs. You know,
Yeah.
she uses a wheelchair. Just factual. And the kid's like, oh, okay. And then off you go. But if you shush it, now all of a sudden you've made it this thing, right? Like now I can't say it. Now, oh, there's something there. And like this is where our biases and stigmas kind of form from.
Yeah. And for me, I always, in those situations, because I know how hard it is for parents, I myself will often interject and just be like, hi, like I'll wave at the kid. And if they like engage, it'll be like, do you have any questions? Like, have you seen this? Do you like the chair? Like, whatever it is. And that kind of, I can see sometimes parents just go, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, they have this immediate, like, oh, relax now. Yeah. Like, we don't have to worry about it. But not everybody wants to do that or has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
That's your choice to do
It's my
that.
choice to do that.
But I would say definitely not everybody feels the same way. And that's okay
Yeah.
too.
You
And
can
I
kind
feel
of
like you
gauge
can
it.
gauge it.
Yeah.
Totally.
You can read them, see if they're going to engage.
Yeah.
You can usually gauge if they are interested in having that conversation or not.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, looking back at your own childhood and journey, what's one conversation about disability you wish an adult had started with you or handled differently? I'm sure there's a bunch, but
Oh my gosh. That's a hard one. It's weird. I don't remember a lot of conversations about disability, which I think is interesting because you would assume that those would be like the hot spot in my memory.
Do you think it was just your life though? So it's
There
just
were
kind of
so
all
many conversations.
morphs together. Like
It just was a repetitive conversation. It wasn't like a one-time
right.
sit down. It was very gradual. My parents, I think, did a really good job navigating that. I think I do remember when I was probably 7 or 8 when religion entered the picture. And I remember having a conversation with my parents of like, I think I was upset in my room and I was just like, I don't understand. Like, if God's supposed to be helping everyone, like,
Yeah.
why is this so unfair? And my parents, I love that they were just honest and they're like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we do not know. We have no answer for you, but we're here. Like, we'll help with whatever we need, but they were never in like a fix it mode,
Yeah.
which I think was really something I needed as a kid. And I think a lot of people don't get that, which is unfortunate because I think that's like the power, which is something you talk about constantly on Nurtured First, just being that leader and being the person that your kids come to. You might not be able to fix the problem or the situation or the feelings, but you can be with them throughout it.
You're that safe presence for
Yeah.
them. Yep.
I remember the first time even meeting your mom. She's just like in the room, right? Like she's your safety net, right?
She did a lot. And I don't think I really understand until even now fully how much effort she put in, especially with like the school board and the medical stuff, like the amount of advocacy that she
That's right, a lot
had
of
to
work.
do that I saw, and then all the stuff I didn't see.
Yeah.
Really hard for me to like really understand how much that tired her out and
Yeah.
just how much energy that caused her.
Yeah, it's probably just now that you're like the age that she would have been, right? When she was having you and everything. It's like, wow. You start to see things from a different lens the older you get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For sure.
Which makes sense.
yeah. It's been an interesting understanding. Because I don't think I understood, because you're experiencing it as a kid. And I know you've had this conversation a lot, Scott, with like your own childhood and then seeing the girls at certain ages and going, wait, this happened to me when I was their age.
Yep.
And it's a weird conceptualization because when you're a kid, you just experience it. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, you know, I was 6 when this happened, or oh, I was 8 when this happened. And I understand how hard that must have been. And I can understand that differently than when I was in it. Because when I was in it, I was just going through it. Like it didn't.
Right.
And your brain was probably not able to, wasn't developed enough to comprehend everything that was happening at that point either. But now as an adult.
And that's the thing about like childhood, right? Like it stays with us. Like even though we are not identifying, this is wounding me, this is hurting me,
Yeah.
I'm losing, the joy that I used to have or whatever. You don't identify that in the moment, but your body does.
Yeah.
And then it's not till later that you can look back and say, oh, okay. So that's why that was so hard for me. Or that's why I'm still struggling with this. Especially when you like, even like with our girls, right? Like your aunt or your aunt, you see the girls like, so you see them at the different ages and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. It does make it more real for sure.
It gives it like a bit of more conceptualizing. But
Yeah, there's additional context that also all of a sudden builds in your mind about your own life.
yeah. And I feel like my 20s was like surviving
Yep.
and like kind of healing. Like, and now I feel like in my 30s, all of my therapy has been like going back to childhood and figuring that out more in depth, not just like surface level surviving, but like digging into the nitty gritties
Yeah.
of it.
I think that makes sense. I mean, in your 20s, you're finally like, you're moving out,
surviving,
you're on your
yeah.
own, right? You're all of a sudden trying to become an adult after you were literally just a kid. And
It's
now
logistical.
Yeah.
It is,
And
it
once you're in
really
your
is.
30s, you've had like, let's say roughly a decade of experience of being an adult on your own, doing your own stuff. And then it gives you that time to start reflecting on
Yeah.
That was the hardest part
everything.
of my like hitting the 30s for me too. Was like I thought I had done a lot of deeper work.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like, yeah, I got it. Like I feel like I figured a lot of this stuff out. But then it was just like, nope. You still got lots to figure out. Just kidding. Yeah.
If parents listening could change just one thing, just start with one thing about how they approach discussing disability with their kids, what would you want that one initial change to be?
I don't even know how to phrase that, but try to keep disability neutral. It's not good or bad, it just is.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is hard to do. But I think just keeping it very factual and very simple with your kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a complex thing. It doesn't need to be a big, big ordeal. It can just be very simple. And you can just point things out without having like a certain spin on it. I think just keeping things factual would be helpful. So like wheelchairs are for this. Some people can't see, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Some people use a cochlear implant, like whatever that conversation is, just naming it as like no different than like this person wears glasses.
Yeah.
Like it's a tool. It's fine. It doesn't have to be a big conversation, or it doesn't have to say, oh, like they must struggle to do this and they must struggle to like.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't overcomplicate
Don't
it.
overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
To be honest, all of that to me sounds very condescending if you add anything more than just the factual information.
Yeah. They just, this is the situation, this is the way it is. And if they ask as they get older, you know, when there's more environmental, I would focus more on the environment of like, there's a step there. Wouldn't that be nice if it was a ramp?
Right.
Shouldn't they make more ramps? They should totally make more ramps. Like, oh, this door doesn't have a button. That might be tricky for someone. And I think
Like
that's
the entrance to our building here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an option, right? Like it happens a lot, and I think for you, even I've had tons of conversations with you around how you see that and more with strollers.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you have to go into places, you have to go over like bumpy terrain,
There's no
no
ramp.
button, no ramp.
And you're trying to navigate. I remember calling you one day. I was like in a store, like a dollar store or something like that. I had like a kid walking, and then I had the stroller and no button to get into the store. The aisles are so thin, like so narrow that I could barely push the stroller through. Then there was stuff all in the way, and like I couldn't. So I'm like stuck in there. I can't get through with the stroller. And I called you and I'm like, I'm so mad for you right now. I'm like, this is just me with the stroller and I can just turn around and go the other way, right? But this is the kind of stuff that
Still
you're
have stuff in
dealing
the
with
way like
every
that?
day.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Should what are those things that used to be on the front of trains? You should just install one of those in your
Well,
wheelchair.
This is
Plow.
Scott installing something again. A plow. Yeah, a plow.
No, it was meant for moving cattle or something off the train tracks,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I think but those are the situations where it's like, that's why universal design and accessible design works for everybody. And so it makes no sense in my brain why you build stairs right next to a ramp when you could just make a whole ramp. Why?
Right.
Like there's no reason for it to be extra.
Yep.
Like just make it universal design where everyone can get in and it's fine. Logically, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, and that's probably because the designers are not.
They're not thinking.
Yeah, they're thinking about their own lived experience, and they're not thinking.
Yeah, they're
about,
like, oh, nice stairs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, why?
Yep.
Just make it a ramp. Be done. Everyone can get in. Like, this seems easy.
Yeah, right.
In my brain. And so, like, even pointing that out with your older kids, like, if they see situations, even if you have a stroller, it's like, oh, wow, this is so hard to get in. Like, this must be tricky for other moms or people using chairs or people using walkers. Like,
Yeah, right.
I always bring that stuff up to the kids,
Yeah.
and they start to notice it too. Like, it's even like being friends with you. It's like you start to notice simple things like, where's the ramp to get down into the parking lot? Oh, there's only one ramp from the sidewalk to get down into the parking lot, and it's on the other side of the parking lot. So now I have to walk all the way over there in order to get down.
and then all the way back through a parking lot with traffic.
Yeah. And like, so
Or some places like Montreal have like no decent sidewalks to even.
yeah,
We did Montreal 2 years ago.
I remember.
Worst city I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I can imagine.
accessibility. The curbs are not curbs. They're
Yeah.
like a foot. A foot high. And I'm like, how is anyone supposed to get off this?
Yeah.
Like it was so much, there was so much navigation and
I
like
bet.
huge potholes and It was just really not built well for anyone with any kind of device.
Yeah. And I think parents, like, or anyone, doesn't just have to be a parent, we can start to notice these things, right? Just start to even notice, like, you're on a walk. Try to imagine what it would be like to always have to look for the ramp down, and to always have to look for a sidewalk, and to wonder, why is the sidewalk so bumpy, and why?
Yeah, what are these bumps on the edge too? Like if you have a crosswalk, right? Like you have the yellow chunk of concrete with the bumps. Describe why that might be there. You can hear the little ding when you press the button and it says to go. That's for someone that's blind.
What's the reason for those yellow bumps?
Blind.
See, I would have no idea that was even a thing.
It's a tactile way of them knowing that that's the edge, to not go in farther.
Interesting. I did not know that.
And then if you press the button to cross the street, you might hear the ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Or whatever. That's like to let them know that they're safe to go forward. And like there's all of these little things.
Because I know if you hold them long enough, then it will do it's almost like echolocation, where it just kind of pings back and forth.
Yeah.
And so parents, like, even if you feel like you're not being exposed to disability in your day-to-day, you are. It's everywhere. So it's just taking that time to really just notice it. Like, even just go for a walk and you'll start to notice these things, whether things that are barriers or things that are there to make things more accessible. And even that's all conversation starters that you can have with your kids.
Well, I learned something new today about those bumps on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
At the crosswalk.
Yeah, for blind folks, yeah. And they use echolocation.
Yeah, right.
So that's
I can see that.
Exactly what it's for.
Yeah.
What is the biggest misconception about disability that you believe fuels parental anxiety around these conversations? And how can we go about dismantling it?
Also, we're going to be mad if you ask the wrong question.
Yeah.
Or that we're unhappy and miserable.
Because we asked the conversation, or just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a huge misconception that disabled people are grumpy and mean and miserable because their lives are terrible and they're horrible. And
if they're grumpy, maybe it's just because they're being condescended to.
Yeah. And that the world isn't built for them.
Yeah.
And they kind of have a right to be upset
Yep.
about it. And that it's not them being ungrateful for any tiny little morsel of accessibility.
Right.
Yeah.
That they shouldn't, it's hard. Like you don't want to be miserable, but also like the world's really hard and the world's not built for you. Mm-hmm. And so how do you get through and not be frustrated?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be there. And not everybody has the tools or the access to understanding how to handle those emotions.
Yeah.
It's not easy. That would be one of my biggest ones.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Okay. Makes sense. Finally, what is the most important thing that we haven't asked you about? So if there's something else, what is something that we've been missing in this conversation that we haven't asked about?
I would say, so I think in terms of disability, the majority of the conversation is surrounding how to talk to able-bodied kids about disability. There are disabled kids that need conversations about disability, and there are disabled parents who need conversations about disability.
Yeah.
That don't exist. There's not a lot of support or understanding of how to help disabled parents and disabled kids. It's often focused on a non-disabled lens of how to approach this conversation. And I think there needs to be more conversation around the actual experience for kids and parents.
Right.
In general, right? Like we're talking about accessibility and stuff. What about an accessible playground where a parent can't take their kid?
Yeah.
Because the parent's disabled.
Oh,
What does
yes.
that look like? Right. There's a lot of different perspectives, and I think they're all important perspectives. But I think just making that a conversation as well, just to note for people that there's also a lot of kids that need these conversations just as much. And a lot of parents also need these conversations in the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even, our conversation today, right? We focus on one piece of it.
Yeah.
We didn't get to those other
And there's
pieces,
a million.
right?
There's no way
Yeah.
you
There's
can.
so many
Oh.
pieces we could get to.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a few things we're like, oh, that's a whole other that's a
whole
whole other
other
conversation.
whole
And
other
this is another one and we should have you back and we should be talking about that too. But if there is a disabled parent listening or a parent of a disabled child listening, is there any message, or I think some of the things that we've covered today are really applicable, but is there any message that you would want to send to them?
Just that there's a lot of other people dealing with the same struggle.
Absolutely.
That they're not alone. Because I think it's a very isolating experience. And I say that from a point of view where I grew up with no other people with disabilities, really, until my late teens did I actually have a lot of interaction. And that's only when I started really developing an identity, developing a self-understanding of my experience, and figuring out how that integrated. I would say prior to that, it was a very, like, exceptional circumstance of, like, it was this thing that was here, but it wasn't, like, an integral part of who I was at that age. I feel like that started once I started understanding other people, having community, learning more about literature and disability justice and all kinds of things. That's when I really started to, like, flourish.
Yep.
And I think people need that. They need that community and they need that understanding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think for parents too who have disabilities, or for parents of disabled kids, there are great communities out there.
Incredible community.
Like I've seen that for you, like as you've gotten more connected to your communities, like it's really cool to see. And that sense, like, of everything we talk about, belonging, being seen, community. And so that's something that practically they could do too, is like to seek that out.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that's a beautiful part of the internet.
Yep.
Yeah, there's good and bad, but there is good.
Yeah.
We look, even my mom, 30 years ago, my parents, when they got diagnosed, they were handed a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Here you go. Here's a
Here
pamphlet.
you go.
They probably
Here's a
did not have
pamphlet
internet at that
of
time.
one contact of who you could possibly talk to, and good luck. Whereas now, there's groups, there's community support, there's Zoom, there's conferences, there's all of these things where you can connect with people with similar lived experience that, like, even now I talk to my parents, like, they wish they had access to that. Like, they wish that they were able to see this whole other, like, possible future, which was not presented to them at the time.
Yep.
It didn't exist. It was like phone calls with someone 4 hours away
Yeah.
with kids at different ages and different stages and all of these things. Like, it wasn't as helpful. Like, my parents felt like they had to go through a lot of it themselves. And I feel like thankfully that's not the reality as much anymore, because there's so much connection online. I think that's been a really beautiful benefit of the internet. Most of my friends are states and Canada wide, like they're all over, but you can talk to them any minute of any day.
And you can say,
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty
hey,
cool.
are you going
Understood.
through this too? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this
Like,
happened
even
to me.
last week,
Yeah.
my wheelchair broke. I had so many people messaging me like, hey, like, I saw, like, this happening. Like, oh my God, mine did this last week. Like, it's just, like, a lot more comforting, connecting. There's, like, solidarity in the community that just never existed when I was younger.
I feel like it must be easier then to also advocate for change, because then you're not dealing with anything in isolation, or
Yeah.
not as much.
Yeah, there's a lot more avenues to protest and to get creative about things. I think disabled people are probably one of the most creative groups of people I've ever met. And there's good reason for that. They've had to solve a lot of problems
Yep.
with limited or certain resources that are not technically traditional, and they have to figure out how to make that work. And so I think that comes from an advocacy point of view as well,
Right.
where you can get creative and figure out other ways of getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. Definitely a powerful part of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is good out there
Beautiful.
still.
There is good. I know it's a scary place otherwise, but
Yeah.
it's good.
Nice.
Well, thanks, Brooke.
Yeah. Thanks
I'm
for
so
being
glad you
honest
came
with
today.
us.
Happy to be here.
Answering all
Could
of our
talk about it
questions.
forever. So
Yeah.
That's true. We have.
And we'll have you back, and we'll talk about one of the other pieces we didn't get to today. But
yeah, for sure.
thank you, and so glad we finally got you on.
Yeah.
Made it. Finally.
Oh, it's been a long time coming too.
It has been. Hey Hey, thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode today. It means the world to us to have you here. If this conversation was helpful for you, it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe. That just shows us if the conversation is meaningful and helpful and helps it get out to more people. Also, I just wanted to let you know that every week we have a new episode drop, and if you want to be notified when that happens, just hit the little bell icon. Again, thank you so much for being here, and we will talk to you again next week.